Hi, my name is Austin Cull, and this is my video application to be the next sports radio host with you all at Indianapolis, Indiana, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan. I think that it's important for me to kind of give you a little bit of an agenda. I'm going to give you a general introduction and of my professional and academic career, as well as my sports host experience and success, and round it out with, how my professional and personal goals align with your strategic plan. So let's dive right into what I consider to be very exciting. Hang on with me. We're not going to talk about sports here until just a couple more minutes, but I went through my master's in business administration program. I've been out of it for just about a year, but throughout my professional experience, both in the healthcare system and sort of going through my master's in business administration program with kind of like the thought of creating a more valuable experience for patients. It kind of drove me to create a more valuable experience for any sort of industry. And that's kind of where my brain's been stuck ever since. And that's kind of why I've succeeded as a broadcaster with my own creative endeavors kind of moving forward. And we'll circle all around this. But when I was in my MBA program, I was elected by my class administration. So my professors and directors specifically nominated me across all of my peers to represent them throughout the cohorts experience through the graduate program. And then I also was elected to be a part of the alumni board so that I'm advocating for future cohorts and kind of adjusting curriculum and policies and things as we kind of move forward throughout that process. But, I've just overall, I am constantly, regardless of the industry, speaking on behalf of the end user, whether it's a patient, whether it's a student that I instruct. I'm just constantly trying to gather all of the resources available or that could be available just, after a couple of phone calls are made to create, again, a more valuable experience for whoever my target audience is. And I've gotten very, very good at that. And I think that what's driven me back into sports broadcasting, which has always been a dream of mine, is when I had the opportunity to become a course instructor, both with my professional company that I work for, which is the American Cancer Society. Is the largest research entity in the entire world for cancer. And then also, with the Ohio University College of Business. So that's what I'm going to really focus on here. And who am I in this scenario? So with the American Cancer Society, I am a strategic partnerships manager with a couple other words at the end of it. But basically, I look over all of the research and implementation projects within our cancer centers that we overlook across, multidisciplinary healthcare systems, large and small. So that is, in essence, is what I call value transformation. The concept of I'm going to partner with this huge hospital system. I'm the American Cancer Society, partnering with the huge healthcare system or cancer-specific treatment center, and then bring in a third party, be it some sort of external company, to fund a research project to meet some sort of goal at hand and positively impact a target population that's been identified. That's exactly what value transformation is, and we'll get into that even in the next slide. But with Ohio University, even this is kind of where I tied into I think I can do a really good job and make a difference in the sports broadcasting term, because as a course instructor for data-driven decision making with the Ohio University College of Business, I basically am grabbing overall concepts of how to generate, taking a bunch of information and formulate it in a way to make a positive decision, but also be able to, drive everyone in a direction that's more successful, because you're able to better identify the independent variables and better ignore the dependent variables that are sort of distracting and skewing the data in a way that's not important. And that is a bunch of mumbo jumbo to basically say that I speak to a crowd of over 100 people who are in a billion different industries. I have healthcare workers and professionals. I have engineers. I have people in sales. I have everything in between. And how basically do I, teach a tangible concept in a universal nature so that everyone can come away, with something that's, more meaningful and that they can implement into their professions immediately. And I thought to myself, man, I wish that people in the sports realm did a better job of this. And I started to look around at all of the companies. I guess I'm going to go ahead of myself. What I'm doing, if Victoria's Secret wants to specifically fund and support breast cancer initiatives, I'm partnering and I'm working in between the triangle that is me, Victoria's Secret, and the overall patient outcome to reduce, the prevalency of breast cancer in a certain target population, zip code, socioeconomic area, whatever, may have you sort of thing. And I do this for all of the companies that I work with, regardless if it's breast cancer, whether it's prostate cancer, it doesn't matter. All of these companies have dedicated dollars in their strategic plan to support some sort of nonprofit or charitable action or cause. And a lot of times they are looking to support cancer initiatives. So, the more time that I spend creating and generating value, improving the resources, accessibility, and the quality of these resources for patients to, again, achieve better outcomes, I start to look around in my personal life at all of the companies that I interact with as an end user and really try to figure out who is creating that much value for me on my end for, what I'm paying for. And I look across all of these companies, and without really digging into all of them and the problems that I have with all of them, it really just boils down to there are some companies that are, competing for all important market share using an us against them mentality, meaning they're going to invest a ton of money telling you why their product or their service is better than their competitor, or just completely tear down their competitor and say nothing about their product or service, which has become more and more, prevalent as of late, which kind of sucks, but that's the way it is. And then there's also the company that is instead us versus us mentality, meaning that we don't really care what people are doing around our industry to an extent, really just the concept of as long as we are creating a differentiated, more valuable product compared to our peers, we're always going to rise to the top because the upfront investment is into us and not really spent trying to manipulate the population, the crowds to think that we're more valuable. We know that we're more valuable because we're providing a more valuable product. So a really good example of this, and these are what I would consider these companies that spend all of their marketing dollars to tear others down instead of promote what they're actually doing for you as a differentiator in their service. Why are they better than others? You never know walking away from these. It's called a glass hammer company in my head. And the concept is looking at NJM Insurance Group. I've never heard of them until just their recent marketing campaign over the last year, and they've spent a ton of money promoting their overall strategic plan or their jingle that says, no jingles or mascots, just great insurance. And the issue is that when you say no jingles or mascots, just great insurance, you're bringing attention to the Geicos of the world, to the other insurance companies that live on Liberty Mutual with an emu and a song, sort of to start out their commercials that grab your attention. We're not going to do any of that. We're just going to drive the point of those jingles and those mascots are stupid. We just sell great insurance. But why are you any different than the other insurance companies? And this is really across every single industry. We're not going to tell you why we're better. We're just going to sort of tear others down and go at it in a more unique way that hasn't necessarily been, shot out before, kind of thing. So it is unfortunately sort of this mindset has started to kind of dominate some of the sports analysis of today. And that's why I really thought that I had a shot kind of in this field. So the glass hammer effect essentially is that you are going to communicate to this customer base. You're competing with all of these different talk shows that are going to go over a lot of the same information, but why are you going to be different? These talk shows that are, existing in the field that make me sad, why I think I can succeed is that their whole concept is that we're trying to get as many interactions as possible. And we don't really care if it's positive engagement or it's negative engagement. And it's gotten to the point where it's mostly negative engagement. How can we gaslight and fuel people with enough rage to communicate and argue with us on the different social medias so that we can count that as engagement? We can see how many people are interacting actually with our show through streaming. It's really tough to, gauge all of the numbers of who is watching what. But if everyone's watching something and then completing the secondary action item that is engaging with the conversation, the discussion, the argument on social medias, it's easier to sell, to advertisements for commercials that, hey, we reached this number of customer base. And what's really, 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 unfortunate is that, these super low level, low effort concepts are all based on kind of like throwing together figurative storylines. We're going to talk about the Dak Prescott contract for 3 years. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers possibly signing with another team when all of the other relevant sports are going on. Instead of just investigating like the actual truth, cause, and effect of what's going on, let's just keep things speculative, because then we can never be wrong. But really, the figurative storyline is such low effort, but it also yields absolutely no valuable information and result, and you lose the trust and the faith in me as a someone who has little free time to spend. I want it to be spent learning something about sports because I love it so much, and so many people think like this, think like I do. I think that I would fit really, really well with you all at the Fan in Indianapolis for a lot of the following reasons. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand that, again, I've talked many times about providing a more meaningful and engaging experience. I'm really trying to drive home the fact that I want the main, the main driver of my conversations to be thought-provoking conversations where everyone becomes smarter, everyone learns something walking away from it, because truly, subject matter experts are on the case and talking about things that they're also passionate about. And I will further illustrate that throughout the rest of my slide. And really, what got me into this was specifically fantasy baseball. So little effort was being put into, sustaining and upholding this thing that I love the most, kind of my free time thing. It's my favorite activity, that I really felt the urge and felt the need and the ability to make a difference in this space. So what did I do? I went to the magical place that is YouTube, and with nothing. I didn't tell any of my family, any of really my friends, or no mass reach was ever sent out and saying, hey guys, can you support me doing this thing? I'm going out on my own, and I just want to see, how can I succeed on YouTube? And within fantasy baseball, I basically share analysis like anyone else, but I treat it like my courses that I instruct for both the American Cancer Society and the Ohio University College of Business. So I combine my value transformation coursework or course materials with my data-driven decision-making in a way that is tangible, universal, and digestible by large masses of people. And really, what's more valuable and why it's more valuable than my peers and why I've succeeded so much in this short period of time is that I put so much upfront investment into the quality of the information in a way that's, you could never take that away from me, kind of thing. It's so transparent and it's so objectively clear that I put a ton of time into this, that people are willing to put the time and investment back into me, even though they owe me nothing. I provide all of my tools, my resources that I build myself for free and accessible to anyone year round, so that they can constantly help themselves. And a lot of my my slogans and things are kind of based on teaching people how to think, not telling them what to think. It's huge difference there. And then also making sure that I am reading my notes that everybody basically feels inclusive. It's included whether you've been playing fantasy baseball for 10 years, or you've been playing it for your first year. I'm communicating to you in a way that no one is left behind. So it's not over anyone's heads, but also at the same time, it's not so beneath people that they feel like they're being dragged along, kind of thing. Hopefully you feel like you're don't feel like you're being dragged along in this conversation on this application. But I did so well that I was actually invited and recruited to join Fantasy Six Pack, which is a majority fantasy baseball writers website that is trying to make more of an imprint into their video field, making content online for their YouTube channel. So I am actually a co-host for some of their fantasy baseball analysis shows, but then also I am the host of a game show that we've even started that's kind of more trivia based, but that's built in a way to uncover facts about players around the league that you would not find within a box score sort of thing. So I'm treating my content that I make on Fantasy Six Pack the same as I do with content that I make on Fantasy Baseball on Deck. And I'm very, very proud of everything that I've accomplished with both of those sites. And, it's one of those things where if I would have tried and not really gotten much from the community, I think I could have put it to the side and thought to myself, like, why do I think I'm special? Why do I want to pursue sports broadcasting and being on a talk show and like really sharing this information in a different way that I would find valuable? If I wasn't just constantly showered with outside gratification from complete strangers over and over and over again, I think that I could have put it to the side, worked in healthcare for the rest of my life, and been happy with my 40-hour job, and then enjoy these things in my free time like 99% of the population does on on the road already. But these really awesome things just kept happening. One example is that I was approached by two senior business students with the Farmer School of Business at Miami University Redhawks in Ohio. And they basically came and said that they watched a ton of different YouTube channels. Their assignment is to create an RFP project to increase fan engagement between the fans and Major League Baseball. And they watched a ton of videos, and they came across my website, my channel, and they said that I was the most interactive and engaging character persona that they had found, and they appreciated everything that I was doing, because regardless of the interest in baseball, one person was a very big baseball person, the other one had very little an interest in baseball, but they both kind of found this medium ground and could understand where I'm coming from and what my values were and what my goals were, and that meant so much to me. These people, complete strangers, I've never met, never knew any of them from Adam, sort of thing, just based their school project on me, and things like that have been really, really gratifying, and have kept me kept me afloat and kept me going, kind of thing. I've also been invited to be a guest broadcaster with the Dayton Dragons, which is a high A baseball team in Dayton, Ohio, where I live. And that's super cool. I never thought that I would be invited to the broadcast booth to, color commentate a baseball game. And that's kind of a dream come true as well. But you take these opportunities as they come, and you truly try to figure it out. I was offered or invited to play in the Fantrax Expert Analysis Challenge for 2023. And I am doing so, competing against 500 plus baseball writers from across America. And I'm actually doing pretty solid. But just the concept of after just a year full worth of work, I was recognized and invited to be a part of that, was really cool. And then also, I talked about earlier, I on Fantasy Six Pack host a bunch of different shows, but this one specifically is my baby. I run all of the production, the editing, and everything along with it, to run on this, to put on this trivia game show. And I have a lot of fun. But this is just a good example of me trying to diversify my work and kind of the angles that I'm coming at the sports broadcasting side to show that I can do multiple different things and be comfortable. And this is just a point in the video where you can pause to read any of the YouTube comments that people have been nice enough to take the time and share with me. And these people mean a lot, honestly. Very, very nice. Why am I special? And why do I look at the world a little differently? Sports, football is king. Football dominates everything. And I like to think that I look at the sport of football very, very differently than most. I was fortunate enough to be really successful through high school, successful enough to be recruited by a lot of major colleges. And as you can see there on the side, my first offer was from the University of Indianapolis. I thought that I was going to go to the University of Indianapolis. I really liked their PT program. They were ranked number 5 in the nation when I was getting recruited there. I was a verbal commit for the longest time. And then what started to happen is I was getting contacted by Georgia Tech and in Purdue and Iowa as a blocking fullback, playing in a very at this point in time, niche offense, being a blocking fullback. And I played it all wrong and I lost scholarships pretty much everywhere. So I went to Urbana University, Division II university, and really succeeded there. But it was a funny route of how I ended up there. Once I got there, I think it was like a week before camp even began, they sort of said that they were having financial issues and they didn't think they were going to be able to keep the university open. So the time that I spent there was sort of under the fear that I needed to leave. So what did happen is I needed to transfer eventually to Ohio University, where I played as well. But why I bring this up and why it's important is that being a fullback on roster, I was the only fullback on roster. I had to go to every meeting that they had. Essentially, I attended all offensive meetings and as well as special teams. So I wanted to be a run game coordinator originally. As I went into college, I wanted to be a college football coach until I learned that they don't sleep and that when they do sleep, they just sleep in the facilities on a bench or something. Like it. So much time. Anyways, getting into it, I really understand how to break down film. And when I watch games as a fan, I watch them as I did as a student of the game, a player of the game, in the film room with my peers and with my coaches. And, if you want to talk about offensive line scheme, the Colts, have done a really, really good job of marketing the importance of the run game and that being one of their, their main advocates, one of their main, strongholds is going to be their offensive line. If you want to talk gap, man, zone running schemes, pass pro, anything, I am down to do that. But also, again, relating it back to my course instruction, being able to relate it to the crowd in a way that's valuable and that's unique to, to compare to anyone around doing it, but doing it in a way that's tangible. People can digest it and really understand kind of where I'm coming from and why these thoughts are, unique and different. If you want to talk about tight end hybrid concepts, really talk about the concept, the fact that the tight end H and Y positions are pretty dependent when it comes to decision making and how that ties in. There's a slide about that later. If you want to talk about running back production, kind of run fits, I had to go to every one of those meetings in college, and then even I had to go to the wide receiver meetings just to understand pass concepts. The very rare time that I get split out and run an out route to the flat. So basically, me as a fullback, though I was sort of isolated alone, I had to understand where everybody was on the field in an anticipatory manner to be able to do my job effectively so that I'm staying both out of people's way, but I'm getting to my spot quicker and in a more efficient way than anyone else is on the field, because I had to, kind of thing. I had to be smart. I wasn't more athletic than anyone else on the field. I had to be really, really, again, strategic about where I'm going to be and when. You want to talk about offensive line and run game with the Colts? I can absolutely do that. The Colts are really struggling running the ball this season, is what you're going to hear for, the entire last season of 2022. And, the way that I'd go about it more is that I want to talk about not only the schemes going ahead, but I want to point out sort of the deficiencies that they had, via the concepts involved. What is their talent? What talent do they have? What schemes are they trying to pull off? And why is it or is it not succeeding? I want to communicate using examples of missed opportunities in decision making to build kind of the narratives at hand, instead of just reading box scores and saying well, Jonathan Taylor didn't run for as many yards as he did last year, it's a failure season. No, what are the underlying narratives sort of that's leading to their struggles on the field? Next, 2 historical players take a career-long amount of data points into one to basically say forever until the end of time, lazy takes like Arian Foster was a dog. And then just read his box score stats. Well, like, you learn his box score stats, but you don't understand like why he was more successful than his peers. I would like to think, and my rebuttal and or supplement into the conversation would really be talking about his successes and failures based on his decision making over his physical ability. And that really is the difference between these two players that you see on the field, being Arian Foster and Trent Richardson, is that one was wildly more physically gifted than the other, but one was one of the better decision makers from a scheme perspective of anyone at that position for a very long time. And that's why Arian Foster is so well regarded at that position with that franchise, because he was the best zone scheme running back that I've ever watched play football. And I want to explain sort of again, like the ups and downs and like what's sustainable with the players like happening now, so that we can better forecast trends, moving forward throughout the season as they're happening, because I'd rather things not be as subjective as they usually are in the world of football broadcasting. Tight end production, like what's wrong with George Kittle this season, the beginning of last year. And what I'd like to talk about is like the tight end position is completely dependent when it comes to decision making, depending on the concepts at hand and the ability of the player. It's the only position on the field that can be phased in or completely phased out. I really want to talk about, again, sort of like the successes and the individual production from each player based on what their scheme is, and kind of like why that's important and not just a uniform cookie cutter thing. Like even from a fantasy football perspective, I want to basically be able to explain that no, George Kittle is still able to beat people on routes, and no, he has not lost a step. He's actually spending most of his time being the only person on roster that can actually seal that second level hang defender against the Seattle Seahawks, and that the entire game he was basically chasing around a hybrid safety outside linebacker. Because their entire offense is built on misdirection, and it takes an entire season to build that consistency for it to really like work to its highest effect, kind of thing. So, building these narratives using concepts is just the way to go, and the way that I kind of want to go about my style of broadcasting with you all at Radio One. And getting towards the end here, I really just like my core values as a broadcaster, and like what I want to do in this space. I want to do really, really creative, unique, special things, but I really want to hold it, I want to contain it within these really like, easy but important set of values. And my favorite show ever is the Dan Levitard show with Stu Gatz, because really, like, at the end of the day, they talk about what matters both locally and nationally, but they default to having fun. They're serious when they need to be serious, but really, like, at the end of the day, how can we have fun with the audience? Always looking out for the audience experience. I feel like a part of their family. I listen to them every single day. I feel like if I talk to them in real life, that I could just talk to them normally, as I would anyone else in my life, because they are so genuine. Nothing is forced. There's no narratives and speculative narratives being, dreamt up. It's just talk about what matters and have fun. And that's what I want to do with you all at Radio One. Next, I'm going to talk about like college game day and kind of the importance of college game day. No one ever can dispute that college game day is filled with more subject matter experts about their niche thing than any show in sports, reality television, politics, the news, whatever. These guys are so invested into the nuance, storylines, and have perfected the absolute value of storytelling, meaning that like telling stories and building narratives of these individual players, these small and or large schools to the nation, so that I care about the wide receiver at Eastern Carolina in 2023 because of X, Y, and Z reasons. They do an exceptional job of that every single episode, regardless of where they're at in the country. I gravitate towards it. It's my favorite show on the planet. I look forward to it every Saturday morning during football season, because I walk away every time learning something new about either the players involved this year or just the school in general. And I always see a ton of value in that. And they just have so much fun because there's no reason not to have fun when you're an expert at your subject. You can be pretty loose. And then also, 60 minutes obviously is the standard for ethical journalism, and really just kind of drive the point that, like, though I want to have fun and though I want to focus on what matters to me and what matters to the audience, my integrity and respect for the content and the relationships that we build with Radio One is always, in my back pocket. It's very, very foundational with me. Treat people the way that they want to be treated. And also, don't fabricate things, be an outspoken, upfront individual, and you'll always succeed. And the next, I want to sort of speak about, this final, I just realized that I didn't plug my mic in. So this sound should be better, but this is the way I probably should have sounded. I don't know if it's going to automatically transition here, but I want to find my dog. I have to find my dog, because this song's basically is just talking about this guy's purpose and what he wants this talking dog and a wife and a kid that are basically going to save the world. The dog's talks to him. His wife cures disease. His son is a prodigy guitar player by the time that he's 4 years old. He wants to live in a place with people just like him who appreciate him for who he is. I thrive when I feel like I can be myself, and I'm surrounded by people, who love me and who generally care about me, but are tolerant and accept me for who I am, which is a pretty low bar nowadays. And I am surrounded by a lot of people that are very fixated with the names and letters behind their name and title. And I would really just like to do something fun. I have so much creativity. I create my own music. I produce songs. I have my own shows. I'm reading off the teleprompter because I'm kind of riffing here. But, I want to start a pie war with Blue, the mascot from the Colts. I want it to be sponsored by Barbasol, and I want an entire production team behind the scenes, kind of directing and producing, planning this production to make it something that people always look forward to. Austin versus Blue, and it turns into this sort of game of master game of tag across the across Indianapolis. That's obviously staged and not necessarily real, but super fun to watch, and keeps us engaged with the community that cares about what we care about, which would be the Indianapolis Colts, which I am a fan of, and probably helps me with this job because that's the team that I 100% watch 100% of games forever, regardless of what's going on, because that's my priority. But anyways, I have so much more to share. I know I shared just a ton of super broad concepts, but as long as you just know at the end of the day that I am someone who just really gives a crap and wants to make a difference in this field, in this industry of sports broadcasting, and I have all of this energy, but I also have some really, really valuable perspectives that I think that your listeners would appreciate and also gel with. So if you could please just give me a chance. I would love to speak to you about anything. You guys can just run me through the ringer on questions, concepts, anything. I just want a chance to have an opportunity at a job like this, and it would really mean the world, and send my life into this trajectory from a happiness perspective. I think that that would be an awesome legacy to live out the rest of my day. So thank you so much for your time, and I really look forward to hearing back from you all. Bye.